children, how are you? I hope you all are doing well. So children, isn't English literature fun? Because you come to know about so many different things. You get to know about so many people through their stories, okay? You understand and you get moral values from different stories or chapters or poems that we learn, isn't it? So children, tell me one thing. Do you know that India and Pakistan have had this situation of war from many years now? And you always must have known or seen movies with regards to them, who are the armies fighting against the Pakistanis, you know. So we are going to talk about the Bravehearts. That's the army people of our India, okay, in this chapter, and how they try their best to protect all the India-Pakistan borders. Basically, this fight is because the Pakistan people still feel that Kashmir is a part of their country. Okay, and this entire fight is to get Kashmir in their hands, okay, which is actually a part of India. So they feel that when the partition happened between India and Pakistan after independence, they were not given, Pakistanis were not given what a part, okay, that is Jammu and Kashmir to them. So that is the reason why this war has been going on between India and Pakistan since our independence. Rather, we can say that it's been going on since independence. Alright, so now let's read this chapter. Before that, let's read the prologue. The genesis of Indo-Pak conflict can be traced back to the year 1947. The bone of contention between India and Pakistan are the attempts by Pakistan to annex the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir by any means. In 1999, when the Pakistan army surreptitiously occupied the winter-vacated post of the Indian army, a war erupted between the two arch rivals. This lesson highlights some of the supreme sacrifices made by Indian army officers. So, as I said, this has been going on since our independence. Now, let's read this and talk about the sacrifices of our Indian army officers who died protecting our nation and a part of our nation, which is Jammu and Kashmir, the beauty, okay, the most beautiful place, okay, on this earth. It is also called heaven on earth. All right, let's do a warm-up. We owe our freedom to brave soldiers, but do we really understand what sacrifices soldiers make for keeping us safe? So do you really know, children, what all they have to do, how much sacrifices they make? They stand for hours, okay? They, irrespective of the climate, okay, they are there standing with a rifle in their hand, protecting away from their families, okay, just for our nation. All right, now let's read this chapter. It was the month of May. The year was 1999. The Indian army had detected infiltration in Kargil in Jammu and Kashmir. Several hundred infiltrators, supported by a neighboring country, had pushed their way into Indian territory. They had occupied some strategic peaks from where India could be attacked, and the army couldn't afford to let these remain in enemy hands. The Shesha, Lion King of the Indian army, rose to the occasion. Nicknamed so because of his unflagging courage, Captain Vikram Batra of the 13 Jammu and Kashmir Rifles and his team was given the task of recapturing point 5140. He considered it a privilege to have been considered worthy of completing such a task. So children, it was in the year 1999, May 1999, that हमारे देश में, okay, the Pakistani people had entered to attack us, okay, and they were standing at such a peak from where they could easily attack the Indian army, okay, and कहते ना कब्जा करना उन पे, they could have easily done that. Alright, so at that time आप अगर देखोगे कि हर एक जो आर्मी के पर्सन्स होते हैं, जो लीडर्स होते हैं, उनको अपना एक सूडो नेम होता है या निकनेम दिया जाता है. सो वैसे ही कैप्टन विक्रम बत्रा थे जिनको सूडो नेम या निकनेम दिया गया था शेरशाह. So they were not disclosing the real names and they used to talk to each other, और वो भी walkie talkie पे through by using these nicknames. So जो कैप्टन विक्रम बत्रा थे उनको 13 जम्मू एंड कश्मीर राइफल्स एंड टीम का उनको ये दिया था, that team was given to him and they were the ones who had been given the task of getting these Pakistanis out of our country and stopping the attack. Okay, the rock cliff loomed in front of the group, steep and formidable. आपने देखा होगा कि वहाँ पे बड़े बड़े mountains है. Okay, so mountains के behind से या beyond the mountains they started attacking and then they started walking through there. So जो rocks होते हैं mountain के, okay, they were like steep and they were like formidable. The operation was carried out at night. अभी इन्होंने जो operation किया that was carried out at night. Okay, Captain Batra led from the front hoping to surprise the enemy with his sudden fierce attack. We are almost there. He inspired his men up the sheer vertical climb. Just a little more and we'll conquer this peak. So they were trying to conquer the peak and get onto that mountain peak at night. Okay, वो भी front से, so that they would have surprised those Pakistani army by their fierce attack. As the group inched closer to the summit, they were also moving within the vision of enemy binoculars. The soldiers were more than aware of the risk they faced, but they didn't let this deter them. So, सबको पता था कि ये बहुत risky है. It is a high risk operation, okay? And they were like continuously being monitored through the binoculars of the Pakistani army. And still, they had taken this risk for their nation, okay? Suddenly, machine gun fire was hurled their way. Incoming, move away, the soldiers shouted and continued trudging up the slope as fast as they could. Death lurked behind them all along. Eventually, Captain Batra and 5 of his men managed to reach the top. Just then, the radio crackled. The enemy commander knew his position. So, जैसे वो लोग वो माउंटेन क्लाइंब कर रहे थे, अचानक से मशीन गन चलने की आवाज़ें आने लगी. And then they knew, you know, that some of them are going to die. But in spite of that, okay, कैप्टन बत्रा और 5 जन कैसे वैसे उस माउंटेन क्लिफ पे पहुंच गए. They had reached the top of the mountain. Okay, और तभी ही okay, रेडियो पे मैसेज आ गया कि द कमांडर, उनका जो कमांडर है उनको पता चल गया कि तुम लोग यहाँ पहुंच गए हो करके. So why have you come? The commander said and laughed. You will not go back, Captain Batra replied. We shall see within 1 hour who remains at the top. तो वो कमांडर जो था उसने पूछा कि तुम लोग यहाँ पे क्यों आए? Okay? आए तो हो, तुम लोग क्या जिंदा वापस नहीं जाओगे यहाँ से? तो कैप्टन बत्रा ने बोला कि देखते हैं, you know, we'll see within an hour what happens. Okay? और यहाँ पे टॉप पे कौन रहता है हम लोग 1 घंटे के बाद देखते हैं. So Captain Batra knew he had to tackle the machine gun first. It was a threat to his soldier. He hurled 2 grenades at the machine gun post just before the enemy spotted him and lunged at him. He killed 3 enemy soldiers in close combat. Despite being injured, he insisted that the mission should continue. So अब इन्होंने कैप्टन बत्रा जो थे उन्होंने तो ठान ली थी कि कैसे भी करके इनको तो हराना ही है. Okay, and we have to win this. तो he started tackling the machine gun first. तो उनका वो फर्स्ट था कि और फिर जो ग्रेनेड्स होते वो फेंक के उन्होंने पहले तो उनके 3 लोगों को मार दिया. ओके, ही किल्ड द 3 एनिमी सोल्जर्स. अब उनको भी चोट लग गई थी इस अटैक में और इस मिशन में उनको भी काफ़ी चोट लगी थी. बट स्टिल ही कंटिन्यूड फाइटिंग. डोंट फॉल बैक, ही इंस्ट्रक्टेड हिज मैन. Regroup, move that way, get those bunkers, don't worry about me. So he was, in spite of being so hurt and badly injured, फिर भी वो अपना command देना continue रखा था उन्होंने. Okay, they were guiding, he was guiding his teammates how to go and fight the enemy. Inspired by his courage, his men charged at the enemy with renewed grit and a fierce battle ensued. Finally, in the early hours of 20th June 1999, The Indian soldiers drove away the remaining intruders and recaptured Point 5140. Immediately, they unfurled the Indian flag on the peak. Jai Hind, they shouted through their tears and wounds. Later, when Captain Batra's commanding officer asked him how he felt, he replied, "Ye dil mange more." This heart desires for more action, and he did get it. So, फिर भी मतलब उन्होंने इतना encourage किया उनके army men को that they continued the fight and they won that fierce battle and they managed to get rid of all the enemies. Okay, all the intruders were, they were killed and they were that enemy mission, okay, was completely क्या कहते finish हो गया था. They had killed everybody from the enemy side. ओके एंड फिर उसके बाद माउंटेन पीक पे जाके उन्होंने इंडिया का झंडा लहराया था. ओके और फिर जब भी जो कैप्टन बत्रा के जो ये थे कमांडिंग ऑफिसर थे, जब उन्होंने कैप्टन बत्रा से पूछा कि हाउ वाज इट, ओके एंड हाउ आर यू फीलिंग, तो कहते उन्होंने कहा, जवाब दिया कि ये दिल मांगे मोर. सो दैट मीन्स दैट दिस हार्ट डिजायर्स मोर and more action, and they got it. So children, quickly finish this performance tracker. All right, now the recapture of point 5140 was only the start. ये तो बस शुरुआत थी. ओके the army also wanted to take back point 4875. तो ये एक ही पॉइंट नहीं था, और भी पॉइंट्स थे जहाँ से पाकिस्तानी आर्मी, the enemy was entering our country, okay, due to its strategic location. The task was given to Captain Anuj Nayyar, okay, of the 17th Jat Regiment and his team after the commander of his unit got injured. तो इसका जो ये टास्क दिया गया था कैप्टन अनुज नैयर को. okay, the peak stood at nearly 16,000 feet above the sea level. So इतनी ऊंचाई पे था ये peak. Its slopes were so steep that attempting to capture it without air support was considered foolhardy. Yet Captain Nayyar pressed on it. The group had no time to lose, and the word impossible hadn't found its way into the brave officer's vocabulary. This was his first major operation, and he was determined to success. Come on, men, these are molehills. It will be over in no time, and the Tiranga will flutter in the breeze at the top. He urged his men on, keeping their spirits high. As they began to ascend the formidable cliff, they were detected. Heavy artillery and mortar fire rained down on them. So, ये जो पोस्ट था 4875 वो सी लेवल से करीबन 16,000 फीट की ऊंचाई पे था. और जो कैप्टन नैयर थे उन्होंने अपने टीम को इतना इनकरेज करके रखा था कि आगे बढ़ना ही है, कुछ भी करके वी हैव टू इंश्योर दैट आवर फ्लैग अनफर्ल्स एंड इज प्लेस्ड on top of this mountain peak. तो वो बार बार उनको encourage कर रहे थे और उनको बोल रहे थे कि ये तो क्या है, ये तो कुछ है ही नहीं, these are just molehills, okay, और and we have to keep on moving and within no time हम लोग वहाँ पे पहुँच जाएंगे पीक पे. और तभी ही okay, while they were moving ahead they were detected by the enemies, okay, एंड देन फिर वही दोनों के बीच में हैवी आर्टिलरी एंड मोटर फायर रेन, मतलब बहुत फिर से वो वहाँ पे वॉर शुरू हो गई. ओके इनकमिंग, टेक कवर, द सोल्जर्स स्क्रीम्ड एंड ट्राइड टू हाइड बिहाइंड रॉक्स एंड crevices. Be careful, but keep moving, Captain Nayyar shouted. Don't worry, their machine guns are no match for our courage. In spite of the bullets being fired, स्टिल कैप्टन अनुज नैयर जो थे इनको एनकरेज ही कर रहे थे कि आगे बढ़ना ही है. उनके जो बुलेट्स है हमें कुछ नहीं कर सकते, उनके मशीन गन्स हमारा कुछ नुकसान नहीं कर सकते. वी हैव टू कीप ऑन ट्राइंग टू मूव अहेड. द इन्फिल्ट्रेटर्स वर वेल आर्म्ड एंड स्टूड एट अ पोजीशन ऑफ एडवांटेज. From the peak, they could easily target the Indian soldiers. However, the brave soldiers dodged the bullets, camouflaged, and hid themselves as best as they could. They kept climbing undeterred. So, उनको पता था कि जो इन्फिल्ट्रेटर्स थे, जो एनिमी वाले थे, एनिमी की आर्मी जो थी, they were standing at a position जहाँ से उनको इंडियन आर्मी को मारने के लिए they were at the right position, okay, and they had that advantage कि they could kill the Indian soldiers from there. But फिर भी ये जो brave soldiers थे, Indian brave soldiers, they managed to dodge the bullets, okay, and they camouflage मतलब जो उनके जो कपड़े थे और mountain का color जो था, they had camouflage so that the army men of the enemy couldn't find them or couldn't locate them, and then they tried their best to hide themselves. और ऐसे ही वो चढ़ते रहे, आगे आगे बढ़ते रहे, okay. Soon they were within meters of the enemy bunkers. The peak is ours, they shouted and rushed towards the enemy soldiers with a rekindled sense of purpose. The two of you clear that bunker, and this group you target that one. Captain Nair ordered his men, and जैसे ही वो वहाँ पे पहुँचे पीक पे, okay, वहाँ पे जो बंकर लगा था, enemy का जो पोस्ट था उसको बंकर कहते हैं, वहाँ पे they went and they told those people over there, the soldiers of the enemy, that this is our area, okay, this is ours, this peak is ours, okay, you have to go from here, okay. And then they asked them to clear the bunker, and then they targeted and this group, you target that one, okay. The Indian soldiers scattered and faced the enemy in hand to hand combat. तो इसके बाद उनके बीच में फिर से लड़ाई होगी, okay. And then .4875 was encased in shots of rifles, grinds of machine guns, cries of soldiers, and the dust of battle, okay. It was such a bad war at that time. First, one bunker of the enemy troops was cleared. तो एक एक करके वो उस enemies को वो उनका खात्मा कर रहे थे, okay. Then the next, and then the next, and there was just one more bunker to go before the peak would be theirs. एक एक करके उन्होंने सारे bunkers को खत्म कर दिया था और सारे soldiers को भी खत्म कर दिया था. The group charged, firing away, casualties mounted on both sides. Just then a grenade flew from the enemy bunker. It fell very close to Captain Nair, injuring him fatally. Don't stop, he said as he breathed weakened. We have to clear, okay. So in spite of all these things, he was also hurt, okay, and still he was encouraging his soldiers to keep on going on, not to stop. एक ही bunker रह गया था, okay. Even when grievously injured, Captain Nair continued to fight alongside a handful of soldiers. Only when the final bunker had been cleared that he succumbed to his injuries. The mission was accomplished, but at a heavy loss. None of the soldiers from Captain Nair's team survived the battle. तो उन्होंने वो पीक तो अचीव की थी, they destroyed the bunker and all also, and but इस mission में, okay, including Captain Nair, none of the soldiers survived. They all gave their life for the country. 2 days after .4875 was recaptured, the enemy soldiers made an attempt to take it over again. तो 2 दिन के बाद फिर से enemy ने उस point पे attack किया. This time Captain Vikram Batra and his team defended the peak. अभी इस time ये जिम्मा दिया गया था उस peak को defend करने का to Captain Vikram Batra. Despite being injured and outnumbered, the men fought hard against the infiltrators. One officer in particular, Lieutenant Naveen, despite being deeply wounded, kept fighting. Captain Batra stepped forward to pull him back to safety. Subedar Sushant stopped him. Sir, let me go and bring him back. Your life is more precious than mine. No, get back. I will go, Captain Batra replied. Unconcerned of his personal safety, he dragged Lieutenant Naveen back. Captain Batra and his men fought with the infiltrators with unmatched mettle, ensuring that every one of them cleared out of the post. However, he was grievously injured while trying to save Lieutenant Naveen and succumbed to his injuries on the battlefield. India secured .4875 but lost the Lion of Kargil. Both Captain Batra and Captain Nair fought ferociously and died fearlessly. For their valor, leadership and supreme sacrifice, they were posthumously awarded the Paramveer Chakra and the Mahavir Chakra respectively. The whole of India salutes these martyrs and so many others who gave up their lives today for our tomorrow. So, कैप्टन बत्रा उन्होंने उनको उस स्पीक का जिम्मा दिया था एंड ही रियली फॉट हार्ड. ओके, ही एंड हिज मेन रियली फॉट हार्ड. ओके, अब उन्होंने देखा कि उनके जो ऑफिसर थे लेफ्टिनेंट नवीन, ओके, उनको काफ़ी चोट लगी थी और उसके बावजूद ही वॉज कंटिन्यूसली फाइटिंग. तब जाके कैप्टन बत्रा ने उनको बोला कि नहीं, आप पीछे हट जाओ, यू गो बैक, यू बी सेफ, ओके, आई टेक ओवर. ओके, and then Subedar Sushant, he tried to stop Captain Batra. Okay, so he said that, sir, your life is more precious than mine, let me go. So but Captain Batra refused. Okay, and he was, he went and he conquered, and he conquered that peak. He defeated the enemy with his men. They fought until everybody was cleared out. But इस war में Captain Batra was injured very badly, okay, and because of that he died. So these were two great soldiers of our Indian army, Captain Batra and Captain Nair, who really fought against the enemy, okay, and made our country proud. Okay, they conquered our areas, they saved it from the enemy power. And now enemy cannot touch those because these posts belong to us, to our nation, and they are guarded well. So that's why India salutes these martyrs, okay, और उनको परमवीर चक्र और महावीर चक्र दोनों से नवाजा गया था. So children, these are our proud soldiers, and we should always be proud of all these defense forces because they really, okay, have taken over a responsibility to safeguard our nation. We should be proud of them, and if you are really interested in joining their forces, you must work hard and be a part of their group. It's really a proud thing for parents as well and for you as well. Alright, so children, quickly reread this chapter and do read the important words, the difficult words, their meanings, and don't forget to do the back exercises.